And I presume, because you've been criticized widely for going on Tucker Carlson's show, but I presume, or you can tell us what the strategy is behind that. And I think you just touched upon that. What are the core principles that guide you to sometimes ardently defend people that you probably disagree with very strongly on many issues?
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, I think that if you say that you have strong political convictions, that you see things in your society that are damaging and unjust and want to combat them and make them better, which is something that you necessarily say if you aren't politically engaged, if you work in politics, if you work in journalism, then automatically I think that you have an incentive, if you really mean what you say, if that's really what you're motivated by, not careerism or other material benefits, but a genuine desire to foster change. If that's really something you believe, you're going to seek to maximize the number of people that can hear what you're saying and with whom you can communicate and work, not minimize the number of people who hear what you're saying. So obviously, if I'm given the opportunity to go and speak to an audience of 5 or 6 million people, I have two choices. I can say, no, I'd rather just ignore them, hope they go away, just don't need them to ever hear from me. Or I can say, no, I think the opportunity to go on and speak to those people and maybe persuade 10% of them, 15% of them, and not even necessarily persuade them to agree with me, but persuade them to be open to dialogue and to trust the things I'm saying so that we can have dialogue in the future is unbelievably worthwhile. If I were to reject that, I would be utterly self-indulgent and I think even kind of fraudulent. But I think the more important point is the one that I was alluding to earlier about going on to Carlson or having these cross-ideological dialogue, which is if all we're ever going to do is sit in our various corners and say, this is my team, I'm only willing to talk to them. Everybody else who doesn't agree with me on fundamentals is evil or bigoted or irredeemable or whatever. We're always going to be a minority. You're never going to build a majority on any individual issue. You're always going to lose. You may feel good about losing. You may feel like you lost with your purity intact. But I think purity is something that you should worry about if you're an artist or a poet. But politics that doesn't change the society is inherently bad politics. And so I think, it would be kind of hypocritical for me to say that we have to learn how to break down these artificial ideological and partisan divisions and then refuse to talk to people with whom I have different views.